So yesterday I was doing load testing on the uninterruptible power supply with my new lithium ion battery pack which I built. I'm going to show you actually. I'm going to pull it out of there in a minute. I've only got some peripherals plugged in at the moment. When I say peripherals, I mean I've got let's see, I've got the light, which is that light over there, that plugged in to the ups, and I've also got the printer plugged in. Actually, it'd be a good idea, don't we, bring up the history box. I want to do a bit of load testing live. Let's set this to 10-minute range. I'm going to switch the power off. I'm going to see what the loading. So I don't know if you can see that. Oh, you probably can't see it. It's a bit small. We have 1% load on it right now. So let me just bring it down to 5-6 minutes. Right, so we're down to 6 minutes scale on the graph. So the battery charge level is in blue. The remaining backup time is in green. The mains present is red. The percent of the load is yellow, but it's not showing up anything right now because it's too low. And the output voltage is in purple, violet. So I'll stick my cursor there. So what I want to do is let me zoom into the graph a bit because you can't really see it. I'm going to put some loading on it. I'm going to load it down a bit. And I'm hoping you're able to see that little box with the details in it. So I'm going to put the, actually I'll turn my power supply on which runs the generator. Ooh. I'm going to turn the printer on. The printer runs on it as well. Printer on, power supply on. Let's charge up the supercapacitors. Now if you look at the load level, it should change in a minute. It says 1% right now, but it's charged up the supercapacitors. It should be more than 1%. What else have I got plugged in? I've got extension lead which is plugged. Oh, I've got my oscilloscope which is not switched on right now. Let's put the oscilloscope on. Let's put some load on it. I'll put my oscilloscope on. Even though I'm not using it for anything. Right, so we're seeing, let's see, I want to get the, oh right, this box is showing a bit more detail actually. Yeah, this box is showing a 2% load. Right. Oscilloscope's turned on, printer's turned on, power supply's on. I need to put a load on. Actually, I was going to start the generator running, but I'm not going to bother. It says 2%, but it'll go up to about 4% when it's running on batteries. It always shows a higher load percentage when you turn the mains off. Right, so I just want to show this. I'm going to pull it out of there in a minute, and we're going to I'm going to show you the battery. Right, so if I turn the mains up to this. Oh, you probably can't even see it now because I've zoomed right into screen. I'll just move this across here a bit. So right, so I'm going to turn this off, the power supply, the mains, and we'll see what the load factor is on it. There we go, the light's running on ups. The battery pack which I built is running the ups, this MGE right now. We can see the graph behind it, which is, we can see it's the red part here showing that there's no more mains present. The load factor is the charge level is input in at the top, and we're actually loaded down, and it's showing a 6% load right now, which is probably around 100 to 150 watts. Show the battery level dropped to 98%. It's dropping quite fast because we're under quite a big load right now, because we're probably drawing about 8 amps or something, probably 6 amps, I'm not sure, but it's working. It's, if you notice, the voltage, battery voltage isn't ramping down really quickly, which is good because we don't have high impedance leads anymore. So that's working, that's brilliant. So it's doing the job. It runs peripherals. It's running my oscilloscope, which is across there. Anyhow, let's put the mains back on, because I'll show you anyway what I'm going to do. Oh, my head. Right. So the mains back on. I'm going to switch my ups off because I'm going to put the bypass. I'm going to unplug the leads and bypass it, and then I'm going to bring the thing over here to show you the battery box. But, I just wanted to show you the loading first, because I've got to take this out. So I'm going to unplug the interface, which is for the graph, and that'll disappear now because I've unplugged it. It's going to come up with an error box saying communication error or something. Yeah. Right, let's bypass the ups. So my light's going to go out when I unplug this ups now. There we go. Oh, it's on battery again. Considering it doesn't have because it doesn't have lead acid batteries in it anymore. Alright, let me just zoom out. Yeah, it says communication error. It's got a red X in front of the thing. Let's zoom out. Okay, so when I finished the battery, when I finished building this battery, I didn't show you the finished result, did I? Because let me just move my camera out of the way a bit. So let's move my keyboard out of the way. I'm going to get this in the camera, alright, I don't know. Where are we? Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take the feet off. It's a really weird design, this thing is. Right, take this cap off and I'll show you the battery I built. There we go. Those are my circuit information about the pulsar ellipse. I'll keep it stored in there. It's got all the technical stuff about it. Take all this foam padding out. Dropping everything. My balance leads are all tucked away on the side. I haven't finished that off yet, but let's see if I can unplug this. Come out, you bugger. There we go. There we go. Right. That's the battery box I built. Right, so this is what I finished. This is what let me just make sure. I put the end caps on as well. Let's tilt the camera down a bit. I know you're interested in seeing it. So what I decided to do with this was leave all the balance leads. All the balance leads are all external, and you can just unplug it from the end, and the module, well, the module slid out, but now that I've got this, the tabs soldered in to the connections, you can't slide that out until you unsolder these little battery tabs, which are connected to the circuit board in here. So there's a tab that comes across into the circuit board in here, which I soldered on. Also a tab on this side which solders on. So what this does is, this is battery minus this tab here, which is, if you remember watching the previous live stream, I actually laminated this silver battery tab in. I laminated this strip in between plastic, so and I tacked it in place with my plastic glue. So this strip goes around, goes underneath this end cover and connects to the battery inside, and this is what's carrying all the load, this strip here. And the thermal fuse is in the middle section. This goes through, this is battery minus, and this supply is interrupted and controlled by the balance module, which is a MOSFET switching circuit. So if there's an overload, or if there's a fault, or if the battery's undercharged, if the voltage drops too much, it shuts the power off to the ups, so it protects the battery from getting too flat. So the strip comes up here, connects to the battery, the balance charge unit, then it goes through the circuit, then it comes out this side, and that is the ground for the battery. So that's where I connect my battery terminal. Oh, it's hardened up nicely because I glued it in place with my plastic glue, and that's hard plastic now, and that's why I stuck it in there, because I wanted it to dry in situ, and it's dried nicely. So that's the negative terminal. The positive terminal is on this side, and that runs the strip, which runs, it's also laminated, and that strip is covered in laminated plastic, which runs down the back, goes across here, and it's got Captain tape over the top just to hold it in place, really, because the actual strip is laminated, so it's insulated. So that goes through, and that's the positive terminal, and that goes into the battery box inside, and all the rest of these leads just balance leads. And I thought about making a little trunk, 3D printing a trunk, what do you call it, truncation or whatever you call it, a piece of plastic trunking to go along the side of here to keep all these wires all neatly confined. But then I thought, well, the wires still have to come out. They still have to come out and bend around and plug into this module. And I thought, well, there's not much point really, because there's still going to be wires sticking out. Also, you need a bit of flex. You need to be able to pull these wires out of the... you can push them in here, you see. These are just balance leads. I can actually pull this wire out to give me more slack when I'm going to unplug it, and tuck the wires inside to the module just by pushing them in to keep them out of the way. And I thought, well, the trunking is probably not a good idea, because then I can't pull the wires out and push them back in, and if the trunking's on there, it'll be stuck on permanently. And I thought, well, I'll just leave it. It makes it easy to service, because yeah, and it works. It doesn't overheat. I've not overloaded it actually, but as I said, there's 3 parallel on each block, and then 7 series, so it's 3 parallel. So basically I'm estimating that each cell can take about 2 amps, so that's 2, 4, 6. So in theory, this module, this whole battery pack, can take about 6 amps, but an overload would be probably around 10 amps, and that would blow the thermal fuse inside, because there's a thermal fuse in the middle, and that's rated at 10 amps. So if this thing overheated, it would blow the thermal fuse. So I think the cells can handle that, and I haven't checked the balance on this for a while, so what I'm going to do, that's part of the reason I wanted to take this apart, unplug the balance leads, and I'm going to check the balance of the cells. Oh, oh, my toe. I stuck my toe. I think I'm alright. So I'm going to go across. They've been in there for a good week or two, I think. I don't know if you can see the meter. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got to put the meter probe. I'm going to basically jump from, I'm not going to go all the way across the full, I'm just going to go from the first cell bank to the next cell bank, so on, to compare all the voltages and all the cell blocks. And remember, I've just had a load on it as well, so let's see what this shows up. I'm on DC volts. I might need a bit more light on that meter, I'm not sure. Right, let's see what the, between ground, the first S, that's first S, should be about 4 point something volts, or 3.9 something. 3.95, that's the first bank. Let's go to the next bank. 3.94. Let's go to the next one. 3.96. Let's go to the next one. 3.96. Next one. 3.95. 3.94. 3.95. Look at that, brilliant. So I've just checked the whole bank, right, from one end to the other. That's how close these cells are matched. That's pretty close. I mean, we've had a load on it for a few minutes, well, about a minute or so. So we can see that the cells are pretty well balanced. There's no really weak cells in there, otherwise it would have, one of the cells would have been substantially lower than the rest. But they're all pretty equalised, so I'm happy with that. Pretty good. Put the balance leads back in. Right, so I'm going to put this all back together again now. I've got some elastic bands there just to hold the wires now when I plug this in. Oh dear! Ah! I just caught my fingernail. Oh shit! I broke my nail. Ah! Damn it! That hurt. Right, so there we are. And you can't get these on one way around because the spade, these battery terminal spades, the negative one is actually a bit smaller than the positive one. I'll just lay that down there a minute. Get it right way up. Plastic band over the top, just holds the wire down. Get my negative terminal. Where the hell's that gone? My negative wire's disappeared on me. Where are you? Can't see. Oh, there you are. I'll tilt this a bit. Might be a spark here. Ooh. Charge the capacitors up. elastic band that just holds that wire down. Now let's just put this back in here. I've got some foam down there. I think my wire wants to go on the back of that. Actually, it'd be alright if I just put it down. It'll go in either way around, really. It's better if I lay it the other way around. I'm not sure which way around I put it in last time. I think it was upside. Oh yeah, it was the other way up. Yeah, it was like that. Let's get that in there first. That's it. So when this is standing upright, this is the bottom. So yeah, it's basically sitting on the bottom of this shelf anyway. Put my packing back in. It's just to stop things rattling about. There we go. Put this back on. There we go. And put that foot back on it. And turn it on. There we go. Some batteries. So I thought I'd give you an update on that because I didn't show you the completed battery box until now. Yeah, all looking good. I've got to go and install it again now. So let's go back over here and plug it all back in again. I'm going to trip over my wires in a minute. All good. Let's put it back on battery back up. Let's just update that screen menu. Let's put it, hang on, wire's tangled up. Let's just zoom you in on the screen. Put a load on it. Right, I'm going to turn the mains off again. I just want to see. So it's dropped down to 85%. Right, let's put a load on it again for a bit. See how quickly that graph drops. Let me just zoom in on the graph. The greyed area over here, the greyed checkered area, is the period in which it's been unplugged. Alright, I'm zoomed in a bit more. I'll move this box out the way down here. I don't really want to see this box. Move this box over here. Let's put a load on it again. Make sure it's all working right still. I'll turn my printer off actually. That way we won't have too much of a load on it. Right, we're back on battery backup. I just want to watch the graph as it drops. So it's a load of 1% now, 2% actually. So we're back on backup, and we can actually see how quickly those cells actually discharging. The reason I don't want to see that box down here is because it's just notifications. It tells you when communication failure, tells you when the utility is not there, and it's pretty redundant, we know that. So I'm mostly interested in this, the how many minutes is left, battery level, which is this graph here. It says we've got 23 minutes and 43 seconds. I want to see how long it can sustain that load before it gets to about 50%. I don't need to drop much lower than 50%, but we're 83%, and because now the leads are very short, they're not thin wires, it can handle a bit more current. We're not losing power in the long wires, so we get a more gradual step. So if we go down a bit, you can see the steps in this graph. It drops, it went back up a bit there because that's when it was unplugged. Sorry, that's when it recovered a bit after I'd left it switched off. And you can see the steps on the blue graph at the top, where it drops from 83% to 82% to 80%. So it's dropping fairly quickly because we've got about 2% load on it. We haven't got a lot of load on, to be honest with you. But as I said before, this battery lithium-ion battery box I built, I'm not planning on running a power station with it. I wanted it to run basic stuff like lights and which is what it's doing right now. It's running that LED light in the corner of the room. So I just wanted to run basic stuff, you know, peripherals, and you know, if there's a power outage, it gives me a little bit more options. So instead of just having one ups, I've got two ups now, which is always useful if you've got extra backup. Yeah, so gives you a few minutes to sort things out, like shut things down, and you know. No, down to 77% now. Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to switch the mains back on now. It'll start charging again. Right. So that's a little bit of an update on that. As you can see across here, the red bits come back, that's the mains. And it's going to start charging again now. Let's close that. So let's go to a bigger scale now. You can see that graph in that area. The focus is going a bit wonky on me. Yeah, so that's probably going to take probably 4 hours to recharge, top it back up again. Yeah, I thought you'd find that interesting. Anyway, so the other thing I was going to say is I'm going to try and get some more magnets next week to finish the magnet motor off the generator project. I can't afford to spend a lot though, so I was really hoping to get another 50 magnets really, but I might be able to afford 30 magnets, but that's going to cost me more because, well, when you buy bulk you tend to get them cheaper. But I think if I get another 30 magnets, which is going to basically cost me 30 quid, £30 UK sterling, so yeah, they're about a quid a magnet. They're not cheap, but it's probably because all this instability to do with China and everything. I don't know, everything's just, well, also the oil prices and all that, everything else is going up, everything's going up, so yeah, it's crazy right now. So anyway, I'm going to try and get that sorted, hopefully. I might actually have to just postpone the magnets though, because I also need filament, so I can't afford to buy filament as well, so I need to get some filament as well. So I don't know, I'm stuck right now. I'll have to decide which is the priority. Do I buy more filament for the printer, or do I buy the magnets? It's one or the other. I can't buy both at the moment because, yeah, money's tight. But I was coming up with some. I was thinking last night about some additional tweaks to the design. Actually, I can show you that. Let me just go and bring up the. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of that box as well. So last night I was working on some new improvements to the design. Just wait for SketchUp to come up. Let's zoom in again. Oh, this thing's got too tight or something. Right. Right. So here is some tweaks I've been doing to the segments. Oh, that's the anti-drag segment. The generator segment, this one. I've taken out one of the big magnets, which are the 8mm by 25mm by 2mm. These blue, in this slot here. I'll put the rubber on the curve so you can see it better. So I took one of them out at the top, and what I'm going to do, you see, you use the smaller magnets to make a triangle formation for the output for the generator part, which sends the magnetic field. The reason for doing the triangle is to create a ramp, and I'll zoom right in on that. So the idea is that as the lens effect from the coil is imposing an equal opposite reaction on the entry point, this is a ramp to ramp up the field as the coil basically climbs up the ramp. Right, it gets this middle section. These first two magnets, let's say that this is south, right? Let's say that the field on this particular magnet is south, right? As it's climbing, I was trying to work this out, that I had probably some discombobulations with my original thinking. It's basically like a series situation where you push, think about it as pressure. As it's ramping up, the coil is basically being energized. So what we would see coming back on the coil regarding the lens effect is a resistance to the rotor moving in this direction, right? So in order to overcome that resistance, because the coil is going to be sitting across these two magnets initially, right, as it's approaching. So the coil's over here, right, it's sitting over these two magnets. So what we do is we need to induce these magnets on this face need to be south, then north, right? So on this one needs to be south, then north, right? So I need to do this so that we didn't subtract too much of the field away from this ramp. So this is a north field facing a south field, so it's going to subtract some of the field. So I need to move these. I need to move these back further as well. I need to bring these four magnets here a little bit lower down, so they're actually on the edge of this corner here, so that it doesn't interfere with the ramp. But the trouble is, the more I move these down, the less anti-cogging effect I'll have. So it's a bit of a balance situation. They're not too bad where they are, actually. I think they should be okay. So we have a strong field for these other two magnets below it, which are also pushing south up through here. So, but once we get to the apex, the peak of the ramp, that's these two magnets, right? We have the effect where we have south on this side, south on this side. We have north at the back, north on the back, facing the south on this front here. So once the coil is ramped over on this apex, the field it will start to induce reluctance in leaving that area. It'll want to stay stuck to it. So so the field has to be reversed on this side, which I haven't done yet, which is probably why I'm having some drag still, because at the moment, the configuration of the rotor is that I basically have north, sorry, I'll go to the end, north, south, and over here, north, south. So I thought about this last night, and I thought, well, I need to reverse that. These need to be the other way around. They need to be south, north, and then on this side it wants to be north, south. So we need to actually invert that, so because on the entry point it's pressure building, on the exit point it's a vacuum that's building. So basically I'm using general terms to explain it, right? So to make it a bit easier to explain, because when you have a waveform that's rising, that is pressure building. When you have a waveform that's collapsing, that is basically a vacuum. Basically, you have suction, if you know what I mean. So I'm just using general terms so you could understand what I'm talking about, because when you have a collapse of a waveform, that's basically pressure collapsing. When you have the beginning of a waveform climbing, that's pressure building, isn't it? Not just as when you coming into the magnetic field, you have resistance, so it's pushing back on that coil, and once it gets past the apex and it's leaving, it has a reluctance to leave, which means something's holding it back, which means it's a vacuum. You get what I'm saying? I'm just using general terms. So this is why I need to reverse these 4 magnets on this side. At the moment I've got it stepped. I've got a magnet in here, that's vacant, and there's a magnet in here, and that's vacant. So I've got a stepped situation right now in the configuration, but I need extra magnets because I also want to populate these with these smaller types, so I can make a triangle formation instead of having the slanted ones I had previously. So that's the other thing I'm looking at. Obviously, when you get to the midpoint, I've also stripped out one of the magnets in the middle because there's actually less magnets in this section here now. I took one out because I worked out that I need bigger gaps. So instead of a gap of about 1.5 millimeters between the magnets, I've now got a gap of about, well, I'll measure it actually, I think it's about 2.8 millimeters there, but it should be about 2.5 millimeters spacing. So ideally you want about between there and there, it's about 2.1 millimeters, but I haven't finished tweaking this. I need to move this one around a bit, this one around a bit. Actually, I'll do that now. I'll show it on me. Edit component. So this, let me go to black and white mode. Monochrome. So this magnet, select the face. Oops, wrong one. So that magnet wants to be moved. Grab that line to about there. That's about right, I think. And that other magnet wants to be moved. I was tweaking this last night, but I didn't finish it. Wants to be moved. Oops, shit, what have I done now? Press escape, what have I done? I wasn't on the line. Wants to be about there. Let's measure that. 2.1. I'm not far enough yet. 2.4. Actually, that's not bad. I need to tilt it. That's what I need to do. Tilt. Let's just tilt this a bit. 1.4. I'll highlight that. Tilt that one that way a bit. Oops. Undo that. That's 2. That's a pitch. Right, so I just tilted that bit. Let's just measure that. 2.3. 2.3. So that's about right. So I had to get them spaced out right equally. So I can emit the middle magnet if I have to reverse the fields. But by having the magnets below here, I can step it, you see. So what I can have is, on the exit point, I can magnet there, then leave that empty, then step it to pull the field down here so it's stepped. So there's a magnet in here and also a magnet in here, then it jumps up to a magnet there. That's why I've got this double decker arrangement, so I can step the magnetic field, subtract it down so we have less cogging if we need to do that. But because these two poles are the same, south at the moment, the way it's configured, this should be possible to leave it all the way along the same, but because I said pressure, so it might be pressure on the entry point, so we might have to reverse the fields on these two magnets, which means I need to step it, so I have to subtract that field, pull it down here, reverse the fields down here, then flip it around, and then have the other orientation on the entry point. So I have to change all that. I haven't done that yet, so let me just make sure I've got this right around the back. Let's just go around, make sure I haven't messed anything up. It looks all good. Right, so I go to the rotor now, and everything I just did to that should have changed in here. So that's the rotor now, the way the segments are. Yeah, because these are in series, you see, but yeah, you get the idea. So anyway, these are little tweaks I'm doing. So I'm thinking I might have to prioritise getting filament next week. It would be probably a good idea because I could do a lot more with these tweaks. I might even not need as many magnets as I thought if I actually emit one magnet on each of these. I might actually have a few extra that I didn't have before, but well, I don't know. I still have to have an extra 2 for times 6 times 2. So that's basically I'm gonna need another. I'm definitely gonna need more magnets, I think, because I'm gonna be using the smaller ones in there as well. So yeah, which is a pain. But I've got to order more magnets. So, but I can't get them yet. I'm gonna have to 3D print these new segments anyway. So I need the plastic. So yeah, it's just money stretched right now. I was hard up at the shop today, and the guy behind the counter was helping me out a bit because I was really struggling. So anyway, there we are. That's the updates. I've showed you the. Oh my God! What the hell? Someone, mate. I've got black stuff on my finger. Where's that come from? Oh, my rubber's disintegrating. It's that self-amalgamating rubber. I must have sprayed some acetone on it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, nearly tripped over then. Yeah, that self-amalgamating rubber was. I just stuck my finger down here. On here, it's all melting. What the hell? It's just melting. It's turning to black goo. Oops. Right. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. This video's already got too long as it is, so we'll see you later. Bye for now.